Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to another episode of Intuitive Creator Spotlight. Here I have amazing guests who are sharing their stories because I believe that every story is powerful, every story is inspiring. I am Stella, your host, and if you're new to our channel, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel, like this video, let us know your thoughts, and enjoy this episode. Today, we have here Katy. She is a very powerful guide, helping women reclaim their voice, leadership, and personal power by connecting with their body and energy. Hi, Katy. Welcome, welcome.
Hello, my love. Thank you for having me here in this space.
I'm so happy and excited to have this chat with you, Katy. And I know that you have a really interesting story to share. I know that you went from chronic illness and fear of visibility to where you are now, showing up and really sharing your message with the world. What would you say? What role did your body play in guiding you through this transformation?
I mean, it's been everything. I think like a lot of women, we start with quite an unhealthy relationship with our body, or maybe not start. It starts, not being separate as children. We naturally play, we like accept our bodies, but as we become women, we tend to grow this unhealthy relationship where we kind of blame our body for the things that happen to us, and we don't really fully understand with the hormone changes and the way we can feel. We maybe don't have that emotional literacy that we really need, and with this kind of separation happens. And definitely I was very much in that place from quite a young age. I had energy problems, really like chronic fatigue. um, I had hormone issues, um, all the things really, like minor eating disorder, like pretty much everything. I was not in a great place in my body, and I just kind of blamed it for everything. I thought, why have I got this body that doesn't do the things that other people's do? But actually, really, from having these energy issues, from going through some of these things, really, I can kind of track that back to being the catalyst that kind of makes you care and makes you look into it. And you can see that that is kind of how you start this journey to understanding the power of your energy, to understanding the power of your body. And my journey in later life has to really come back to that and to really start to listen to some of the messages I was receiving them and ignoring, and helping to put right some of the wrongs that I naturally unaware in an unaware way was doing in my teens and throughout my earlier life.
That's very interesting. And you mentioned a really important point as well, that at some stage in our life when we want to do certain things, or we look around and we start to ask ourselves, okay, so why can't I do something that I see somebody else doing? Like, why don't I feel the same? And then the more we go through life, we realize that our bodies are very unique because we come with different kinds of bodies and energies. And so the moment we start to connect with ourselves, this is when we begin to receive those messages too. So now, knowing what you know, Katy, after your journey and your experience, um, to everyone who's watching us, what would you say can be some of the signs to tell us that we are separating from our body? Like you mentioned that you've experienced that separation in the past.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think every emotion, every kind of, and by the time you get health issues, I think, there's some kind of major stuff going on there. There's probably already been some signals that your body's trying to communicate with you. And unfortunately, you've kind of not known what they were, or not known how to deal with them. But, it starts with small sensations, emotions, kind of even thoughts really come from our body's trying to communicate with us, and it wants us to take notice. But by the time you've got serious health issues like stomach problems or energy problems, it's like, it's gone, you're quite far into this kind of disconnection, this not listening. So if you're interested in getting into it early, so starting to tune into some of these emotions, and starting to go, okay, something's not right here, what's going on, starting to listen to it a bit more, and think, what does my body want me to know, what is it trying to tell me? Sometimes it's really simple, like a lot of us struggle with our energy levels, tiredness, and it's a really common thing to go, oh, I'm really tired, I'm going to have a big coffee and carry on. I think most of us do it all the time. But actually, that tiredness is telling us we need to take a rest. Something needs to change. We need to do something differently. So little signals like that, starting to listen to them a little bit more, starting to honor ourselves, starting to look beneath the surface and think, what's my body telling me here? What's going on?
Because our body doesn't speak to us through words like human words, but it sends so many signals and messages for us to recognize, and every little discomfort or change is surely giving us a sign to pay attention to something. I know, Katie, that you talk about the body as a portal to the soul. Can you describe this? Can you explain this concept?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really, our body is, how we are here on this planet at this time. And there's always, the whole way that we exist, our essence, our energy, the way we feel about things, the way that I might be passionate about something and you're passionate about something completely different. It's entirely unique, isn't it? And it's that connection to our body shows us how that shows up. It's telling us, it's giving us that little fire in our heart, or that kind of anxiousness in our belly that's telling us, actually, this isn't for me, or it is for me, or it is for me, but I have some fear around this. There's something to heal, there's something to work with. If we don't have those signals, we wouldn't know this unique essence that we bring. We wouldn't be here on this planet at this time. So it's the combination with the two, being able to work with both of them, that really makes our existence magic. And it's how we go from this place where I started from, where, I was ignoring these signals and became quite ill through it, to being able to really use these signals to express who we really are, like honor our truth, like show up in the world in the way we're really meant to be, like express this beautiful soul in the way it's meant to be here, and share our unique voice, inspire others, create connection, use our creativity to manifest things, to create whatever we want to create in the world.
Yes, because there is so much that we can do, so much that we can create. And when we use everything we have access to, and everything we came here with in this lifetime, we can truly tune into some magic and then express it to the world. Now, I know that many of us have learned in the past, or at the beginning of our lives, or depending on how we lived, in what kind of environment, many of us have learned to suppress our emotions, and then just, okay, you don't cry, you never cry, you have to be tough, you have to just focus on what you have to do. And then, of course, the body is creating some sort of mechanisms to learn how to ignore those things completely. So if there is anyone watching us here thinking, okay, so how can I start to trust these things again more? Like, what would be the first step or a few steps that they could do to start to understand and connect with their emotions and allow them back into their lives more?
Yeah, definitely. So I think it's such a cultural thing, isn't it, to not have emotions, to not honor that part of ourselves. But really, our emotions are the messengers. They are the messengers that come from our soul. If soul speak, it doesn't really resonate with you. It's that, that essence of who we are. So yeah, it's knowing that it's safe, knowing it's safe to and normal to feel things, and they don't have to overwhelm us, because we probably associate emotions as well when they're very extreme, like when we're overwhelmed with anger or sadness or anxiety. But really, this is continual dance with our emotions, with what is coming through that wants to be expressed through us. So it's knowing that we can feel things, but we don't have to be overwhelmed by them. Often what happens is that we enter into a story. So whatever is going on for us, whatever we have learned in the past, then we'll kind of meet these emotions and we enter into a longer cycle. So when I work somatically with some people, one thing that I do is teach people to separate the sensation from the story, because emotions will be a sensation, something that is felt in the body, and then quite often we will have a thought that comes on top of that. So for example, we might feel that kind of clenching in our belly and a bit of like nausea that we associate with anxiety, for example. And then it's like, oh, I always get stressed, on a Sunday night before I go to work. And then it's like, oh, Monday mornings are really awful. And we enter into this story about how Monday mornings are really awful. But actually, if we learn to separate some of those feelings, we don't get this cycle of Monday mornings are always awful. We're like, actually, yeah, there's something in me that needs some attention here. Like, I can just be with these sensations. I can just work with them, see what they want to tell me, and help them be witnessed. And then actually this story of Mondays are always awful, I can completely remove. And I know then that I have the resources and the resilience to be able to deal with whatever Monday morning throws at me, whatever comes up, because we are powerful and we have everything we need to deal with whatever comes. So being able to work in this different way really transforms the way emotions manifest and the way we can experience them. That they don't have to be this long, overwhelming thing that kind of takes over and drains our energy. We can literally listen to their message, work with them to soothe them, and stop this kind of like cycle of overwhelmingness that can happen.
And very often we may not even be aware that we're using these stories because they become so natural at some point, because you say them all the time that you don't realize how everything is like, it's hard to become aware of that. And so it's so great to have someone like you who would hold the space and to be able to observe, okay, that's the story, that's the emotion, let's look into it. And thank you for doing this kind of work, because it's very much needed, especially in a world where we are taught to kind of do everything, have goals, achieve, very like measurable, like all of those things that create a lot of stress a lot of the times, because if you're not achieving something, and like what will other people think, and like all of these stuff that keeps coming up. And then even when I remember when I used to have different kinds of jobs as well, it was all about, okay, so where do you want to be in 1 year, 5 years, and then after 1 year, why are you not there yet? So it's like it's always that thing.
Yeah.
So thank you for describing all of this like that, with the story and emotion, how someone can begin to work with it. And if you're watching this episode, Beautiful Soul, and you resonate with what Katy is sharing here, check the description of this video and connect with her, because she is just amazing at what she does. So I'm sure you will want to connect with her if this resonates with you. So I know that, when it comes to leadership, because I know you talk a lot about leadership as well, leadership is often seen as something that is external, something that's outside of yourself. So if you were to think, based on everything that we talked about at the beginning of this episode, if you were to think about embodying leadership and looking at leadership from within, how would you say that, how can this, approach transform somebody's path or journey, or how can it help women continue to serve others around them?
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, this is the only way to lead,
Okay.
because it is, I feel really strongly about this, that this is a new way that leaders need to be sort of in this age, because we've come from this place of really toxic leadership with the kind of history of like leadership is about having power over somebody, which thank goodness is hopefully starting to dissolve. And really, leadership now is about being able to come into this deep relationship with yourself, to being able to understand these signals, and knowing that if something's coming up for you, if you're not feeling good about a situation, it's not necessarily the other person. It could be your stuff, your emotions, and being able to discern that or move away from being driven by that. So you have this kind of cleanness in the situation, that you can deal with it in the way it needs to be dealt with, and to relate to the other person in a clean way and a powerful way. But also to be able to tune into some of the messages that are going on here, to be able to support you, to be more intuitive, to be able to connect more with the other person, and to listen to what they might be bringing to you that actually could be really helpful or really supportive, or something that needs to be voiced and heard. So it's really, really powerful in terms of how you can show up and be able to claim your strength, your energy, your natural power, to be able to improve your relationships and, take people with you, both in terms of a collaborative sense, but also to really inspire others, because you're not trying to have power over somebody. You're embodying your truth. You're embodying what you're here to bring, to speak to bring to the world, and that is really powerful for other people too. So yeah, it's, to me, this is like the way of being a leader at this time, and yeah, endlessly passionate about bringing it to more people.
Mhm. And we create a better space on this planet when we choose to lead like that from
Yeah.
our heart, from within. Because, like you mentioned, it's not about being powerful over somebody else. You
Yeah.
know, you have your own power and natural strengths, and everybody else has that too. So then it's more about let's collaborate, let's co-create, let's just do amazing things instead of like, let me be in this competition mode. I'm just gonna be better. And yeah, it's actually, to me, it's very sad when I see the competition energy. It's a big difference between competition and wanting to become a better version of yourself every single day in the space that you're in. It doesn't matter if it's a small group or just your space in the world. And thank you for mentioning and talking about this here. I think it's a really important message. I know that you are working with women to help them find their own unique voice. What would you say are the biggest challenges that you see in women struggling with that when they come to work with you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's such a common thing that, especially in the space that I tend to work in, which is with highly sensitive women, they're often in, caring, like therapists, coaches, healers, well-being. A lot of them have a fear of using their voice. I mean, a lot of, you could say it's the witch wound. It's that kind of like that wounding, that ancestral wounding that we have, but a lot of them don't feel safe to use their voice. They don't have that conviction. And I think as well, our lives, our society so naturally waters down who we are, what we're here to bring, because we get so busy with, school runs, or, the office job, or whatever it is that, takes up our time, that doesn't kind of waters down our kind of creative spirit. So we kind of have to reteach ourselves what that is, like re-see who we are at a core, so that we can then express it. Because some of it is fear. There is a fear-based thing going on for sure, but then there's also just not really knowing who we are anymore, like not really knowing what we're here to bring. So it kind of is a combination of the two. And then, because a lot of the women I work with as well are business women, it is finding how that slots in, and how do I connect with my customers, my, the people I want to be my customers through my work, and finding their business voice as well. And the three together is like a really, really powerful combination. And it kind of like, once it locks into place, it's like a power up of knowing how to move forward.
And knowledge is amazing, especially knowledge about who you are and how you navigate through this life in different situations. I know that you mentioned on your pages, website, you mentioned the idea of blueprints for potential in our body and soul. Are there any specific practices that someone can do to discover these blueprints?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do some energetic work. I work with a bit of human design and numerology. So doing that is a really, really fast way to kind of get to know some of your soul purpose and your gifts and how your energy works naturally. I do believe that I absolutely believe in these things. I think they're really powerful, but I also really believe in the kind of natural unfolding of our life, and that, that we're here to live it, and sort of having that awareness of what's coming through in the day-to-day moments. So I think having the both, like having these kind of like these tools like human design, like astrology, like whatever it is, to be able to hook you in quickly and get that quick view of where you are, but then learning to read your body, like having that power, like that's kind of superpower that I think it is. It just really changes everything. So being able to work with the two is incredible, and will get you where you need to be a lot faster. So yeah.
That's great. Yes, all of these are systems that
Yeah.
we can choose to work with, and they do help us understand some symbols, signs,
Yeah.
because our mind always is looking for meanings, like what does this mean? What does that mean? So for sure, these are the systems that are helping us in a lot of different ways. And I love that you also mentioned that we have to also understand our path and like how it's naturally unfolding, and then work with everything, because we are powerful creators and co-creators. So thank you for mentioning these things. We talked about leadership and stepping into one's power and potential, but we know that there is very often a fear, like around, when we look at other people ready to step into their power, they may very often experience fear or resistance to do that, to embody that power. How would you say, how do you help women navigate through that resistance when they come to work with you?
Yeah, I think so many of us, again, the kind of highly sensitive women, we are struggling with this. And actually, I think there's twofold things. I think it is because we're highly sensitive, we're processing a lot of information. And I think it just takes us a little bit longer. We can't just dive into things feet first generally. We need to like go, okay, hold on a minute, what's going on here? I need to kind of attune to this situation. It's not as easy for us to do that. But then there is this real embodiment of fear, like I say, whether it's ancestral or it's from this lifetime, or, whatever it is. So many of us have this and are working with this, and it's embodied. It's not just a perception. It runs through us. And having been somebody who's really struggled with the fear of like being seen, with public speaking, yeah, it's not something that you can get over very easily. And I spent years and years trying to put myself out there and just try and get through it, and it just never worked for me. And the more I did it, the more it almost re-traumatized me and made it worse. And it wasn't until I could really learn to work somatically and work with the fear, rather than kind of resenting the fear and distancing myself from it, that it started to shift. And being able to work in the way I do with parts work, being able to tune into the parts of me that are scared and sort of open a dialogue with them and feel them somatically change in my body and develop a different relationship with them, was just huge. And this is exactly how I work with women who have fear, who have blocks, that there's reasons that they can't move forwards, that that they're finding it hard to get beyond. It's being able to work directly with them because they're there for a reason, and the more we disown them, the more we get frustrated with them, the more ingrained they become. So it is having these inner relationships that can then transform. But once we do, they become like a seat of power because we've kind of moved beyond these like physical blocks. They then catapult us into the next level of growth, and we become stronger, and also we inspire others through the growth that comes from them.
And this inspiration, inspiring other people, is so much more powerful when we inspire ourselves first,
Yeah.
and we really go through that journey of healing, of understanding who we are, where all of these fears are coming from, and like everything that comes with it as well. If you were to share a message with everyone watching us here today as we're wrapping up the episode, what message do you feel like everybody who's watching this episode needs to hear?
I think the words that come through are just, trust yourself. I think that is the biggest thing that we all struggle with. And it's not just an us problem, it's a society problem. It's not, we've just lost trust of ourselves. I think we've been given so many signals that have meant that we've lost our trust. But yeah, trust yourself, trust what's coming through. If there's fears there, they're there for a reason. They need to be loved. But your desires, your want for something different, it's there for a reason. To really start to listen to that and trust that everything it's there, it can be listened to, it can be worked with, it can help you get to the next stage wherever you want to be. It's powerful. Just so trust yourself.
Thank you so much, Katy. Thank you for your beautiful presence here today. Thank you for all the messages that you shared with us all here. And to everyone who's watching us, thank you, beautiful soul, for watching us. Don't forget to check out the description of this video, connect with Katy, and like this video, let us know your thoughts, and subscribe to this channel. Thank you. See you again next time. Bye.